Hi, my name is Kevin Day, and I currently live in San Diego, California. Yes, I do actually, in lots of ways. And I mean, I love going to different kinds of art museums or just even wherever I travel to. I mean, just like seeing the architecture of different places. Always for whatever reason kind of gives me like musical ideas, and so with this piece, I mean, that was no exception. And so yeah, like seeing like stained glass like windows, particularly in like cathedrals or like at different places, just walking around. I mean, I really love how light reflects off of that, and through those reflections you get different kind of colors and a different kind of parts of that architecture that kind of pop out depending on the angle that you're looking at it. So, yes, I mean, it's very much an inspiration. A lot of my process is very improvisatory. I mean, because I love playing piano and kind of making up ideas at the piano. And so with this, it was trying out different pitch combinations, as well as working in the program, just kind of trying different colors of instruments that are kind of interacting with one another. The very beginning of the piece kind of reminds me of that, where you have piano and vibraphone kind of trading off different notes, and two very different timbres, high piano and then vibraphone, but then hearing them kind of echo one another, like the piano plays and the vibraphone plays, like that kind of like thing happening, and then using the woodwinds to kind of echo each other, and then creating this like layering of that. So that was really the process with a lot of this, was just yeah, just trying out different kinds of sounds and seeing which ones kind of went together in those moments. Well, the original commission for Glass House was with the Elon Contemporary Chamber Ensemble based in North Carolina, and they co-commissioned it with Latitude 49. Elon's instrumentation was for Puro Ensemble, and I actually know that the director of that group, Jonathan Poquette, because we actually went to the University of Georgia at the same time. He was there getting his DMA, and I was there getting my master's in composition. And so he left that, and then he eventually became the director of the wind bands over at Elon University, as well as the chamber ensemble. So when we talked about this commission, he told me he wanted a Pierrot piece, and I was like, okay, this is probably the fourth Pierrot piece I've done. Actually, I've written quite a bit for this instrumentation, beginning actually at the University of Georgia, and then now kind of making its way to this piece after a few pieces later. What I love about this instrumentation is really, like we're talking about, different timbres. I mean, your woodwind, your strings, your piano, and percussion, and how you can do some really cool things and make some great combinations with these instruments. So it was an instrumentation that I was very comfortable with, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's see what else can kind of happen with this. And then what was cool was that with Latitude's instrumentation, I just had to substitute a couple of instruments, mostly woodwind instruments, to make that work. But then everything else was able to transfer over very well to fit their group. And so it's gonna be really cool to hear this piece in like two versions and two um different ways. I it yes, with brass instruments actually. Because I grew up as a brass player.
Oh yeah.
So I so piano I grew up playing, but I was also a tuba player and a euphonium player. But I mean, writing for everything. I mean, what's cool about composition is that like you get to work with all different kinds of instruments. And so as the years have gone on, I mean, I've now like found a love for strings and for woodwinds, and just like trying out instruments that I'm less familiar with, and working ways of like getting to know the instrument, getting to see what it's capable of, and being able to to write for it over time. Rhythm was one of the very first like things I gravitated towards even as a kid. I mean, my if you talk to my parents, there's like videos of me where I would like be like hitting pots and pans, or like hitting my head or whatever. And so rhythm was always like something I picked up on. And so once I started learning and I mean listening to music, because my parents are both musicians, and so they're always playing music around the house and everything. And so grooves and rhythms was always like something that was very natural to me, but also just like I picked up on it more than anything else. As my compositional writing has changed over the years. I mean, though I've changed my approach and though my sound has changed, there's one consistent thing, and it's usually that there's some sort of rhythm and there's some sort of groove that's driving um the music. I think when I was first writing, I mean, like lots of composers, I was writing very tonal, very much like very like using the same kind of chord progressions, um and it took me a while to sort of blend these two worlds. I mean, because I was doing jazz music, I was doing classical music, but I never really let these two worlds intertwine until I was an undergrad, and I started getting more comfortable with blending the languages of jazz and the languages of classical and contemporary music together. I didn't know that was something you could do when I
Yeah,
started
yeah.
composition. And so that has evolved and changed in many ways. I mean, now I'm getting more dissonant with my writing. I'm exploring different tonalities. I'm exploring different rhythmic combinations that I haven't explored. And I think it's just getting more comfortable with the freeness that comes with writing and this way of just whatever I hear in the moment, I can get it on the page and I can work with it, I can toy with it. And so yeah, I've just gotten very comfortable now with this idea of like, yeah, like music, there's all kind of music that influences me, there's all kind of music that influences my writing. And so that's what helps me to hopefully try not to write the same thing twice, but to kind of explore and continuously evolve as music evolves. Jazz is a very broad term and classical is a very broad term, and there's many different streams within those. And so what I've just gotten comfortable with now, I mean, as I continue to grow as a composer, is that there are no limits to what this to what these fusions can be able to look like. And so I'm just constantly exploring what that is. The last few years have been lots of concertos. I've been commissioned to write lots of concertos. Lots of them have been for brass, but I've done a couple woodwind ones. There's a percussion one that's on the horizon. Where things are kind of going now, I mean, I'm working on the biggest project I've ever worked on, which is an opera, and it's an opera that
Oh,
has been in the works for a long time. This opera is going to be delving into futurism, into Afrofuturism, and into music that because this opera is being set like a few hundred years into the future. And so with that, there's lots of interesting like things that me and our creative team are exploring as far as different sounds, different costumes, because Afrofuturism itself is very much like very eclectic, and it's like you get some really interesting music out of it, really interesting designs, visual art. And so that's where things have kind of led me now is like we're embarking on this opera project with Cincinnati Opera, and we're gonna see it come to life next year in June, Juneteenth of next year. And so it's very exciting, but also terrifying because I have never done something this big in my life. And there's lots of moving parts, there's lots of people involved. I can't wait to see how this goes. And then after that, we'll see. But that's kind of what's on my mind right now is just getting this opera written and getting it to the stage. So the opera is called Lalovavi, and Lalovavi is a word because we're utilizing two languages in this opera. One is English, of course, and the other is a language called Tut. And Tut is a Black American language that was a secret for a long time that has began to resurface. And so my librettist, who's writing the narrative and the words, her name is Tafara Brown. She got the idea of merging Tut into our opera and kind of having these two languages as well as Afrofuturism. So the name of the opera, Lalovavi, is the Tut word for love. And so this love is going to be tested in many ways and tried, and it's going to be an epic adventure. And so I'm excited to get to share that once we can get that rolling. There is no source material musically for this language, so
Mm.
it's like we're really creating something that has never been done before. And so we're creating the source material for what could turn into hopefully more music written for the language. And so with that is yeah, learning about the structure of it, learning about the emphasis, where words are placed. And so we have an expert who's been working with us, who's been wonderful, and she's just been guiding us through this process. And so yeah, so we're very excited to try something very new and see how it works. June 19th and June 21st, we'll have two showings, potentially three, depending on how where the interest is. So, but yes. No, this is my very first one, and so I'm learning a lot in this process. I'm learning a lot about voices, right? I'm learning a lot
Mm.
about words and and how to set certain words, and a lot of what we've been talking about has been like narrative flow and like making sure the audience knows what's going on and just and like all of that. And so no, it's been a really cool process so far. It's learning the music, the context for where it comes from, the different variations of that music and how it can be translated in different ways. I mean, that's how you keep the authenticity of it is basically like doing your research and I mean making sure you understand that before you play it, you perform it. I usually tell that to lots of conductors I work with who play my music. They always ask me, "What is the one thing you want to tell conductors who play your music?" And I always say, "Do your research before you do it, right? Because you have to know this music well enough to be able to teach it to whatever group you're working with, right? To your kids, to your community group or whatever it is." And so do your research and knowing where this music comes from. What are the rhythms, right? What is the musical style that you're trying to convey? That's what I would tell anyone. Think it is like that is how you be authentic to the music and be able to pay tribute to that is to do your research, to know the context and to know how to teach it as well and how to play it. Very much so. Very much so. Whenever I'm writing a piece, I'm conducting it too as I'm working on it. So I'm doing all the patterns, and usually I have a pencil here. I'm just like, okay, let's do that. Uh, so like yes, I am actively conducting as I'm writing, and I think that's like writing is really where I feel like I'm using all of the skills I've learned all at once. Where like when I'm
Mm.
writing a piece as a brass player, I'm thinking about okay, if I were playing in this group, what would I want to play? Like as a
Oh,
tuba,
okay.
as a trumpet player, piano has influenced a lot of my harmony, and so I work at the piano to play through different harmonies and different passages to see like what would work. And then conducting, yeah, does it work? Can I conduct this myself? And I'm not like I'm a conductor, but I'm not like very eccentric, right? I can conduct patterns, all that, but But if I can get through it, then everyone else who plays this will have a problem. Like will have no problem getting through it. So all of these skills come into play when I compose, and as I'm working through, it's just like pulling from different parts of my experience. So I just wanted to take the moment to say how much I'm really excited to work with the Soli Chamber Ensemble and to get to hear Glass House in this in this new way. And so if you want to keep up with what I have going on, my socials are at Kevin Day Music. And once again, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this project and to get to work with everyone very soon.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this interview and want to see more like it, check out the 30 by 30 by 30 playlist on our channel. For more information about the 30 by 30 by 30 project, check out the website linked to the right.